I think this 2 day summit, the Finance Leadership Summit, which has started yesterday, and as we were also talking about, this is one of the summits in the 11th year of the Shared Services Forum's journey. It started on a very high note, and the kind of conversations we had yesterday were excellent deliberations, various perspectives across industries, across organizations, various maturity level of the organizations, manufacturing companies sharing their perspective, diversified organizations sharing their perspectives, services industry leaders sharing their perspectives, and so on and so forth. I think yesterday it started on an interesting keynote from Ravi. And as Ravi was sharing this whole point on boundaryless finance, I think I still receiving messages from the people waiting for that slide pack from Ravi and saying, okay, how we can really look at these realities and way forward, particularly the things like the 7 habits for finance professionals, and some of the points of the 7 habits for finance professionals were quite much deliberated yesterday. So it'd be like metabolic rate, or get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think some of these were a fantastic pointers, which was also connected and deliberated further in the next panel session which we had, which was a CFO's panel, if I can say, for looking from the lens of the chief financial officers or the finance leaders, how they look at the whole navigating through this ever-changing environment and looking at redefining the future of finance. I think that was an interesting deliberation where we have leaders like Rohit Gupta representing Z Entertainment. We had Atul Rungta coming from an exchange, so NCDX, National Commodity and Derivatives Exchange. We had Sridhar representing ABB, and we also had Altaf Jijwani representing Wellspun. And it's interesting perspectives. I think some of the terminologies I still remember and I was part of the panel, and I was privileged to host them and moderate the dialogue. And I think some of the conversations in terms of chief focus officer, the CFO, the chief focus officer, or the discussions about the pilot and a co-pilot, and Altaf making a good point about autopilot doesn't mean no pilot, or we were talking about how to look at the cost of not taking decisions is also how it is important, and so on and so forth. We spent a lot of time talking about multiple perspectives in terms of the journey of digital as well. And I think that is where the next panel, we had an interesting conversation by the leaders from the GBS, and it was called GBS Leaders Roundtable, with a very much a focus on how to look at the elements like compliances, the elements like analytics, reporting, technology point of view. So what are the kind of elements which has to be kept in the mind, and what kind of areas needs to be focused when we are looking at these dimensions of compliances, reporting, analytics. And I think this was fantastic. This panel was supported by one of our partners, Thomson Reuters. We had an interesting panel with leaders representing multiple industries, coming from various GBSs of a different size and scale. We have leaders like Dr. Sanjeev Rastogi coming from Deloitte. We have Serge DeVos coming from ABB. We have AB InBev, sorry. Lalita Indrakanti from Ingka Group, Sudipto Mukherjee from Barkhadia Services, Geeta Ramamurthy from WS Atkins, and Hari Ganesh Kumar representing Thomson Reuters. Of course, this panel was so well steered and moderated by Anand Maheshwari, and I think he was able to take the best or get the best out of the panelists from sharing their experiential perspectives and the views. One of the things which at the closing we talked about was also the various learnings, and learnings are very much contextual, and that is what we are going to continue today in some of the perspectives. Interestingly, we also will have some perspectives on the success stories, some of the challenges faced by the leaders, and so on and so forth. So today, what you should be looking forward to today, you should be looking forward to uh, further deliberating the practitioner's perspective, as we call it. And as you know, the shared services forum is a growing community by the practitioners for the practitioners. So today we will be having the day two, where we'll talk about the practitioner's perspective, focusing on what we call realizing value, how you will realize value by literally leapfrogging the digital journey in and finance. So that is going to be an important deliberation, and we'll have a panel again representing multiple industry and very seasoned, experienced leaders like Upendra Gadre, who is a Group Vice President Finance and CFO for Tata Auto Pump. We'll have Nitin Jain, who is a Executive Director and CEO of Wellspun Global Services. We'll have Ashish Masand, who is the business leader with UST, and they're also one of the partners for this panel. We have Sudhir Banerjee, who is the SVP and Head Global Business Services ABB, and Tanmay Agarwal, who is a VP and Head Global Business Services Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, will be steering this panel conversation as a moderator. From there, we'll move on to a session which is uh, going to be a very interesting one, because there are two leaders who are going to share their experiential views, very much, if I can say, use case or a success story of looking at the future of finance. Um it says the journey of inevitable digital leapfrogging. Actually, the whole conversation is here going to be about how to create that foundation for digital leapfrogging. I think the Martin Morgensen, who's the head finance operations in Syngenta Group, he will be sharing the perspectives, and we'll have a deployment of VR and corporate reporting as an interesting one, talking about virtual reality. I think the augmented reality and the virtual reality is becoming so much and coming to the life. I think that's the conversation we'll have in this session, where Mr. Sushil Khidia, Sushil will be sharing his perspective. He's the head of Finance Center of Excellence, Tata Steel. So he will talk from Tata Steel's perspective. We will have the last session of the day. It's called Fireside Chat. This is a interesting conversation. As always, we do it in SSF. So SSF culminates multiple discussions, and this will be a session where again Sanjay and I'll be around to have a conversation to look at an interesting topic, and we'll talk about that as we'll have this fireside chat, pivoting from being a finance function to a business, and then we'll of course close the day. So this is all what you should be looking forward from the day two of this Finance Leadership's e-summit. I also take this opportunity to thank all the partners who has really made this event happen. Um, our knowledge partner, our value group, our event partners, Thomson Reuters, UST, Quintus Global, technology partner, Muniver. So with this, I will be now formally opening the day two, and I'll request the day two first panel leaders start appearing on the screen. Can I request the host to enable that, starting with Tanmay first? If Tanmay is already logged in, it'll be helpful to have him on the screen. Of course, we can start getting the other panelists to the next panel on the screen, please.